Yeah, glitch the guarantee. E&E. With your boy shit. Glitch, nigga. Shit, I'm about to flood the streets like when the levees break. Criminal minds, my Garcia can navigate. Flowing while I'm blowing this gas. Nigga, no breaks. Niggas not seeing me ever. I mean, no dates. Fuck around and end up gone. You getting misplaced. E&E, the shit that I claim. You dealing with grace. Took over the game by storm like Rain's mixtape. Thankfully, I've been up in smoke like my mixtape. Counting cheddar shit, I'm about to make a grilled cheese. Niggas be faker than bad bitches with good weeds. On my John Wick shit like Keanu Reeves. Replacements won't be enough, you need the whole team. I've been a G since I could finish my ABCs. Kept it a buck so real niggas look up to me. This butcher boy shit get crazy. When it's sick of me, I'm coughing out these dope bars till they sick of me.
Can't get rid of me, still can't find a remedy. Still blowing palmers, infill cups of Hennessy. E&E, we own our shit independently. When I go out on a limb, I take extremities. I can see right through on transparency. Heard they self-esteem low, insecurities. Now or never, like glitch the guarantee. What's the recipe? King L's Reflection 3. All these chapters in my life, you can turn the page. Books can't tell you my story, gotta live a day. Glitch got my back, yeah, you can copy that. Man, we control the seat, you can copy that. Leave your whole state red like Republicans. Putting fire on a track, now it's bubbling. Butcher boys, E&E, you in trouble, kid. Add first 100 mil, you can double it.
Let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. Automatic nigga, how we get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Butcher boy shit, nigga, let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. It's automatic. Nigga, how we get the dough? If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Put your boy shit, nigga, let's go.
Flow sick, corona, jealous in the motherfucker. Can't even take a step, that's how far I trust you. This black boy turned to shine the king under pressure. West side bad jacks, I took more to measure. Shave the extras, that's business, start to feed. Street blues, what I talk, where your blood flowing free. Power on my mind, no it's a gang is kind. Read between the lines, it was in my eye. If they ain't got real lines, it ain't hard to spot a counterfeit. Undefeated, ultra real, Fern Gully Mountain shit. Couple hot shots, turn on the frozen margaritas. Even better when it's served with some flawless features. Next year they gotta pay for these flawless features. Flawless victories from the flaws that they teach us. Now my flow imitate how I board a plane non-stop. The little J gon' take over with my time side.
Yeah, I get right to it. My nigga, we beg your pardon. We putting niggas back in boxes. Yeah, they be harder. My flow be retarded. Sick, I need hella help. My groove came back, this must be how Stella felt. We just started kicking it like a yellow belt. We all made it to the pros. This is how LaMelo felt. You better yell out help. Here comes the double team. Catch me in the spot, then you know that the boy is clean. The Louis V look mean with the magazine. So if you try it, you get shot. No vaccine. If you asleep before I came, then I'm the caffeine. I pull the jokers out the deck. Yeah, there ain't no laughing. In CEO fashion, we sticking to the business. Wouldn't even let a vegan knock me off my chicken. Something about the VVS when the sun is hitting. Should be flashing like the lights when you getting
Let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. It's automatic, nigga, how we get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Put your boy shit, nigga, let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. It's automatic, nigga, how we get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Put your boy shit, nigga, let's go.
Yeah. I already know what it is, man. I'm sitting here chilling, man, and all this stuff keep coming across my desk about this situation. So I already made a pre-recorded about very similar situation. I ain't gonna say very similar, but you know, I was gonna do I did a pre-recorded video on a situation that's local that happened in my city. You know what I'm saying? There's a local situation in my city where a young lady, rest in the essence to her by the name of Takia Young, was unfortunately gunned down by the police last Thursday as a result of an alleged snatch and grab in the local Kroger / liquor store, you know, and I did a pre-recorded on that. Now they got more information pertaining to that situation to be released eventually in the ensuing days, because we haven't been given all the information. We haven't been shown the body cam footage. We haven't been given the name of the police officers due to Marcy's law, right? We don't know the name of the employees who potentially were involved, according to the article. And, you know, we got basically some loose information, not exact, precise information, but, you know, it's looking like it was a failed snatch and grab going wrong. But, you know, it could be argued. More information to come. But this situation right here, and as this happened, more things is coming out about this. Now, before I get in this, let me say rest in the essence to these 3 young people who lost their lives. You know, let's just pay respects off top and just say rest in the essence to them 3 young people that lost their lives in Jacksonville, Florida, right? Rest in the essence to these people right here, just 2 young brothers and this young lady right here. Sad situation, right? But this guy right here is the one who they're telling us did this. Ryan Christopher Palmeter. Oh, that's so sad, man. Rest in the essence to them young people, man, lost their lives, man. Now, y'all know I'm sitting up here talking about this, so y'all know I'm not going to be speaking on this and what most people probably are speaking on this. And I say that to say that I'm not going to be so drawn in emotionally with the racial aspect involved in this situation. This looks to me to be another effing psyop. And I'm going to shine some light on a recurring thing that I've been telling y'all we need to watch out for, these so-called massive public shootings that we're being tricked into believing is an epidemic all of a sudden. You know, this just happened too, so there's really not too much information that we know more in depth as of yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find out. And if y'all look into the title of the show, I put hashtag at the very end, manifesto. Because as in the last 4 or 5 massive shootings, the person that's always had a manifesto. And this manifesto thing is a recurring thing. I want y'all to pay attention to this manifesto propaganda. I'm gonna call it that, man, because the manifesto, in my opinion, my very well researched and studied and learned in this area opinion, which don't have to mean anything to y'all, but y'all tap in with me. Clearly, you must take to what I say to some type of value or validation. So tap in and walk with me. In my opinion, if you ask me, these manifestos are being done to more quickly, how could I say it, coerce people into willing to have HR 1955 protocols more thoroughly implemented. Because that's ideologically based violence. And I keep telling y'all that they want to eradicate ideologically based violence. Now, this guy right here, this young dude, he looks like to be a pretty young guy. This guy, Ryan Christopher Palmer. Smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page. Tap in, let's go.
This is a live look at the scene of a shooting on Kings Road that we've been following all afternoon. Our Tia Collins is standing by. She's getting prepared to give us a live report. Our sources are telling us at least 4 people have been killed in this shooting near Edward Waters University. We're hearing this might have been at a Dollar General. We're still waiting for the sheriff's office to confirm all that information for us. Do we want to go ahead and go to a Tia Live right now? Looks like she is ready to go. Tia, just tell us what's going on.
Tia, find in the mud too, you hear me?
You know right now.
Yes, Anthony, I've been out here for about 5 hours. When I arrived on scene at 1:30, very active scene, SWAT units here on scene, officers walking around with their guns out. Since then, things have calmed down, but still a very active scene here behind me on Kings Road. Now, of course, like you just heard from our sources, we are hearing at this time that 4 people in total are dead. One of those includes the shooter, so 3 victims, 1 shooter, for a total of 4 dead from the shooting here on Kings Road. I've talked to multiple community members, many of them just worried that their family members may have been involved in this shooting. A lot of them calling out for answers, hoping that the community can come together and speak about what is happening as far as the violence here in the area. We saw multiple prayer vigils held here on Kings Road at the site of this shooting. One held by city council leaders, another one held just moments ago by a youth pastor. And you should be seeing some images from earlier in the day of that action right now. That again, as we are hearing from our sources, 4 people in total dead, one of them including the shooter. We have heard from Mayor Donna Deegan that she is heartbroken over the violence that continues to plague this area here in Jacksonville. We also heard from Representative Angie Nixon, who represents this area, her calling on the community to come together. If you see something, say something. And that's a message we hear over and over from Sheriff T.J. Waters. Again, we're still waiting for more information from the sheriff. He's going to be holding that press conference soon. He actually was here on scene earlier. I saw him along with Chief Powers, who is the chief of JFRD. They were on scene here earlier, along again with our city leaders and our state representatives. Everyone here coming to this area, looking for answers and hoping that the community can come together after this tragedy and support our efforts to find justice for these families. I'm going to toss it back to you in the studio, reporting at Tia Collins.
Tia Collins fine as hell for Jacksonville News or whatever it is. She is a nice looking girl, you understand me? Pretty white teeth, pretty hair, you feel me? Anyway, rest in the essence to the people, man. Even rest in the essence to Christopher, man. Ryan Christopher Palmer. All right, I'm gonna do my due diligence, y'all. Don't trip. I'm gonna look into this, right? Because the manifesto thing is just what caught my attention. But yeah, man. You know, sadly, once again, another mass shooting by allegedly disgruntled young white man. Of course, took it out on innocent black people as they shopped in the local Dollar General like we all do on a regular day-to-day basis. I want you to understand, and I hope y'all peeping the play, are starting to realize and recognize the pattern. I just pretty much laid it out. Alleged racially tensioned areas, disgruntled young white guy with the manifesto walks into a public store in a mainly, let's say what it is, black populated area, manages to gun down 3 and delete 3 black people in the process, including himself. OG, what's up with you, Mike? Including himself. Right? Can't forget the manifesto. Right? And allegedly there's no motive at this point, but it's believed to possibly, potentially be racially motivated. Yeah. Are y'all starting to peep this demo, man? Now, I'm going to look into this, but I wanted to have this stream because I always, as usual, like I do when I talk about this stuff and when these things happen and continue to happen, as I keep telling y'all and been telling you that these things are just going to keep happening because this is part of the agenda. I want y'all to understand that. Now, whether you believe that or not is another thing. Whether you accept it is even another thing. But whether you believe it or accept it is part of the plan. Right? I mean, they just keep doing it, OG. They just keep exasperating it or exacerbating it. Not exasperate, but exacerbate. Right? Why they do that, bro? Because, man, they want civil unrest, specifically racial civil unrest, because they want us to be divided. They do not want us to be united together on any circumstances whatsoever. They want us to be so divided that we literally hate ourselves, which we do, and we should not. Or at least we should be able to put our difference to the side and unite for a common purpose, which is involving the benefit of us all. Right? And this is just facts. When y'all can look at how y'all want to, y'all can be so indoctrinated that you don't see that this is what it is. Y'all can sit here and be on your pro-black, super black, it's just about black people and nobody else. Or you can be on your Asian, pro-Asian, whatever it is, and be like it's about Asian people and nobody else. Or you can be on whatever ethnicity, culture, race, color, creed, credo you adhere to and identify with. And you can sit up here and say, they just do this, this, all. Okay, man, I'm telling you, man. This is exactly what these people want. And it's working. It's working damn good, too. Not all for each individual race, color, creed, nationality, whatever. I'm all for each individual expressing their individuality. But at the end of the day, that means nothing, especially cultural-wise, when all of us are in the crosshairs. That's at the point where, that individualism stuff got to get out the window, man. Right? You hear me, man? Smash that like button, y'all. Click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man. And just like my brother OG just said, man, I keep telling y'all, man, this I wouldn't even speak on this in the way I did. I'm just talking like there's documentation for this, man. For these planned race wars, man. Why do you think they is flooding our borders with all these illegals, man? And at the same time, they flooding us with all these illegals. They're sparking up beef between Latin people, or should I say Mexican people, and black people. Starting out there in the West Coast with all them riots going on in Salinas Valley Prison and all that, man. A lot of them dudes y'all see on YouTube is agent provocateurs, I bet, man. All these so-called channels and pages is their content is this old prison politics, prison life, prison culture content genre. That's just a lot of agent provocateurs up in there, man. I don't pay attention to it, so I wouldn't know. It's not my thing, a guy who's been in the penitentiary. I don't really see I ain't gonna say enjoy, but I really just don't indulge in, making content that to some degrees is speaking upon that experience and situation as if it's something to be proud of or something like that. Hold on real quick, y'all. Give me a couple more seconds, y'all. All right, my bad, y'all. I apologize about that. That was an important phone call I had to take real quick right there. Opportunity. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're putting all your effort and your energy into pursuing that, what you're supposed to be doing, you know, the doors start opening up for you. I didn't just say that, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. All praises be to the Most High, man. Thank y'all for y'all support, too, because whether y'all know it or not, y'all contributed to my individual personal success as well. And I'll give it back to y'all when I do these streams. You need smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man. Mind effing psyops. The Violent Radicalization and Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act. I keep telling y'all about this stuff, man. And we're going to keep seeing more and more and more of this stuff. And when they're trying to trick us into giving up our rights to bear arms, they're tricking us into defunding the police. They got the robot police waiting, as y'all will soon see, as I'm about to show y'all. And y'all got to understand that all this stuff being done is to amplify this agenda, which, and not oddly enough at all to me, but maybe, you know, not odd enough at all, but this is also a part of UN Agenda 2030, specifically what we're going to be talking about tonight, right? So it's only right that I kind of do this show right here talking about this situation, because it kind of leads into what we're going to be talking about tonight. And as we wrap up the last two Sustainable Development Goals of UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability, here we go with more situations going on in America, right? That exactly are the very things that are being discussed and talked about that they want to eradicate in HR 1955. And I keep telling y'all, every time situations like this happen, I'm going to go in. I'm going to always bring up HR 1955 because that's what this stuff is all about. And I want to make it a staple. I want people to know what HR 1955 is. The Violent Radicalization and Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act. I want y'all to understand that all this stuff we see happening in the news is exactly what they are describing in this legislation that they have been keeping under wraps for the past 15 years, now going on 16 years. And I'll always emphasize this is the last thing that George W. Bush passed into law before Barack Obama came in. So just to let y'all know how long ago this legislation was passed and the significance at what point in time that it was passed, as it was a shift change happening. And then keep in mind and take into consideration all the anti-terrorism legislation that Obama signed in while he was in there. A lot of that stuff disguised and coupled up with his massive legislation he passed for the LGBTQ Elemental Barbecue Committee agenda. Right. So now we have this young brother right here on the left, Ryan Christopher, what's his name? Palmeter. And then we got these three people here on this side. Rest in the essence to them, man. Like, come on, man. Y'all better realize what they try to do, man.
sure. She got her yet? Everybody ready? 15. Seconds. Okay, thank you. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Tonight I stand side by side with our law enforcement partners, our mayor, city leaders, to share the heartbreaking news that Jacksonville has suffered the loss of 3 precious lives at the hands of an active shooter. This afternoon, a little after 1 p.m., an individual we have not yet officially identified entered a Dollar Tree in the Newtown area of Jacksonville, outfitted with a tactical vest, armed with an AR-style rifle, and a handgun. Then the shooter killed 3 people before turning the gun on himself, taking his own life. Other than the 3 individuals killed and the shooter himself, there are no additional people who suffered gunshot wounds. We are not identifying the deceased victims at this time, but I can tell you that there are 2 male victims and 1 female victim. All of the deceased victims are black. Multiple units from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office responded to this active shooter scene, as did members of Jacksonville Fire Rescue, our mayor, and city leaders. We are still in the very early stages of this investigation, so there's a lot of information that we don't know at this time. I will share with you the information that I've been able to verify. The shooter was believed to have resided in Clay County with his parents. He was involved in a 2016 domestic call in Clay County with no arrest. In 2017, he did have a Baker Act. We know that at 11:39 a.m. today, Sheriff Cook gave us information that he left Clay County, headed to Jacksonville. At 1:18 p.m., he texted his father and told his father to check his computer. At 1:53 p.m., the shooter's family members called the Clay County Sheriff's Office. By that time, he had already begun shooting in Jacksonville. The Clay County Sheriff's Office, who has been assisting our agency with this investigation, received information after the shooting that the shooter had authored several manifestos, one to his parents, one to the media, and one to federal agents.
Stop right there. These damn manifestos, man. Now, this is the part right here about this stuff, man, that I just can't, this throws me in a loop throws me for a loop every single time. Last couple mass shootings, man, all these dudes have, what's up with these manifestos, man? So I'm supposed to think that all of these guys are these well sought out, well read, well written, scholarly, creative writers and essay skills, and being able to critically explain exactly why they went on a shooting spree to go kill innocent people in a public place. Something to do with, I guess, probably the white elimination theory or the male white elimination theory, and they coming for our masculinity and all this so-called radicalized by the internet, ideologically based violence. The stuff I'll be telling y'all about, violently radicalizing people through ideologically based violence. The internet is the major tool being used to spread ideologically based violence, therefore violently radicalizing people. So the internet is the #1 source of violent radicalization and ideologically based violence, therefore also the home of homegrown terrorism. HR 1955, which is part and parcel with UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability. You can best believe every country on this planet, especially countries in the United Nations, have similar legislation in their country. I guarantee you. I guarantee it. All right. Let's go, y'all, man. Y'all better realize what's going on out here, man.
Portions of these manifestos detail the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people. He wanted to kill niggers. That's the one and only time I'll use that word. I want to be very clear that there is absolutely no evidence that
they're really pushing this black. Now, ask yourself a question, though. Seriously. Do we really hate white people, though? I mean, granted, you know, it's probably some racist white people out there, but there's racist black people out there, too. All right? And I know some of y'all actually do hate white people, but as a collective, for the most part, do we really hate white people? Even though we know it's probably still some racist white pricks out there, do we really think that all white people are like that? Do we hold all white people who aren't like that, even if they are not the majority, accountable for that? We tend to just mind our business, and as long as it ain't on no BS, we ain't on no BS. Y'all ever think about if we just put all that to the side and just linked up with each other and pulled our resources and actually work together? Because it really ain't white folks, man. White folks, y'all been just as indoctrinated, man. I keep telling y'all that, man. And that's another thing that's sad about a lot of y'all white folks, man. Y'all really think that y'all like somehow socially, economically more accepted or better than us, or more privileged than us, but that's all an illusion. Look at the amount of homeless white people everywhere in America. Right. And that fits the agenda. So, of course, it makes sense to keep what's been working going. All right? I wonder if any of y'all ever think about that. Crazy, man.
the shooter is part of any large group. We know that he acted completely alone. If you take a look at the images on the screen, you'll be able to see what he utilized. The weapons that the shooter used today are a Glock and an AR-15 style rifle. This is a dark day in Jacksonville's history. Any loss of life is tragic, but the hate that motivated the shooter's killing spree adds an additional layer of heartbreak. There's no place for hate.
He got all type of writing and stuff on the side of the AR. And they showed this Glock, what looks like appears to be a pool of blood. It don't look like no Kool-Aid to me. It looked like Kool-Aid to me. You understand what I'm saying, y'all? There's some writing on the side of this gun that says Crust. Let's say something does S file. You got a swastika on the side of here. It's a Palmetto AR, good brand. Actually, it's a PA-15. File. No, I can't read what this says. It says some crazy stuff. But you got a swastika on here. It's like written in like a magic marker, like a white magic marker. You know how they have like those white magic markers that are like corrective markers. It's like written on one of those type of markers. There's a swastika right on here on the assault rifle. There's one at the top, one at the bottom. It's saying something on here. I can't make out what it's saying, y'all. It look like it's saying, I can't make that out. And then they showing the Glock, what appears to be a puddle of Kool-Aid, but it don't look like real Kool-Aid, if you understand what I'm saying. Y'all don't, it look like blood, but it don't look like real blood. Let me see. I'll let y'all decide for yourself. I'll show y'all. How about I just show y'all? Do that look like real blood to y'all? I'm just saying, though. I know people be saying verbs, man. You be on some. No, I'm just saying. I just choose the question. I've seen what real blood look like. Do that look like real blood to y'all? Keep it real. Keep it real, y'all. That's supposed to be. This is allegedly the AR right there. Got a swastika up there. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, me. Got a swastika up there. Got a swastika up there at the bottom. Saying some other weird stuff over there. I don't know. Can't make that out. But y'all see that? I'm just saying, keep it real. Do that look like real blood to y'all? I know some of y'all probably never seen real blood before. You feel me? A lot of y'all ain't never really been in no real funk for real. And that's good. That's not that's not nothing to be bragging about or nothing like that. But all right. Y'all see that? Y'all see that?
Our community. And this is not Jacksonville. As a member of this Jacksonville community, I am sickened by this cowardly shooter's personal ideology of hate. I don't think names of the shooting really matter. What matters is 3 people lost their lives. We stand united and resolved in our commitment to accountability. We stand united with each other. Those who have personally suffered loss and those who have been touched by this tragedy, we are with you. We stand united and resolved against all forms of hate. And at this time, I'll take any questions that I can.
Waters, does the sheriff's office consider this a mass shooting, and why or why not?
Yes, it's a mass shooting. It's an active shooting. Whatever you want to label it. It's a shooting that should not have happened under any circumstances. I don't think names of the shooting really matter. What matters is 3 people lost their life today.
Sheriff, there are reports that the suspect may have been seen on Edward University at first and then made his way down the road. Can you confirm that? Was the plan to maybe start to go there?
I can't tell you what his mindset was while he was there, but he did go there. And he did put his vest on and a mask on and then went directly to Dollar General.
Sheriff, did Edward Waters University catch the incident on camera, on their cameras?
That's still part of our investigative process.
How does the community of Sheriff's Office, when they see side by side, how do you go about healing that process to know that those type of ideologies still exist? And you said it's not Jacksonville, but I mean, obviously, there's affiliation there with Clay in the metro area, there's still people who have those thoughts.
Well, you see us standing here together, right? So none of that's an outlier. That doesn't represent who we are as a city and who we are as a people, right? Our mayor's here, our political leaders from all over the city are here, and it shows where we stand and how we believe as a community. Now, politics aside, none of that matters. What matters is who we are as a community. We stand together as a community. We live together as a community. We fight together as a community. And when someone comes into our city and does this, we're not going to stand for it, and we don't accept it. So we're always going to fight against it.
Mayor, you were out at the scene. Your thoughts about this as you stood among the community?
I'm gonna take this off, Sheriff, because they're not gonna see me behind there. I'm sorry, Dan.
You were out at the scene. Your thoughts about how the community is dealing with this, your reaction to what has hit this community again?
Well, I'm heartbroken, obviously. This is a community that has suffered again and again. So many times, this is where we end up. And there were so many people out today, obviously grieving, upset. It's just something that should not.
Remember when I told y'all about the Delphi method, man? Put a number 11 in the chat if y'all remember or y'all recall or recollect when you hear me talking about something or something that I call or refer to as the Delphi method. So know about the Delphi method, which is also a part of UN Agenda 2030. And the Delphi method is a system to which, through the UN especially, they have implemented UN legislative agendas, right? Being introduced, basically global legislation being implemented through our local laws, federal laws, and state laws, right? Through funding to these various cities, through the UN, right? I want y'all to understand what's going on here, man. Due to them circumventing the Constitution, they have now created a situation to where they can do basically treaties that we aren't aware of, which is contracts and agreements with other countries that give away and usurp our authority and our sovereignty as American citizens, therefore turning us into global citizens, right? Without our direct consent, but with our consent nonetheless. Now, that's another topic for another day, y'all, but I just want y'all to understand where this goes with this type of stuff, man. And when I'm talking about the Delphi method, I'm talking about this is a technique they use, right, to give us the illusion of inclusion. What I mean by the illusion of inclusion is the illusion that we have a say-so or some type of input on what happens legislatively and politically in our country, when we absolutely do not. The fact that we even participated at the level in which we do under false pretenses, thinking that we somehow is having a decision or say so in what happens in this country, legislatively, politically, when we don't, is crazy. And that's why I'm going in and breaking down UN Agenda 2030, because through UN Agenda 2030, these global legislative laws, processes, systems are being implemented in America. And I want y'all to understand what's going on, right? And stuff like what happened in Jacksonville is all part of that. And when I'm talking about the Delphi method, I'm talking about this lady who is the mayor of Jacksonville, right? This short little white lady. She's sitting up here hitting the crowd with straight Delphi technique, you know, doing question and answering, giving people the illusion of inclusion, as if what they have to say matters, or if they have a say so on what's going to be the outcome of this, you know, telling them basically that, you know, we're not speaking on this until it's an ongoing investigation, so we can't speak on the intricate details of it, but we can tell you that 3 people is dead, 2 males and one lady, 1 female, all black, 1 white male. We can tell you that. You know, they can't tell us what their names is, or they can tell us that was racially motivated, though. They can tell us they found some series of manifestos. They can't tell us the name of these people or the guy who allegedly did this. We don't find that out till earlier today. All right? Tap in, man. Tap in, y'all. I'm telling y'all, man. I want y'all to stay up on game, up to speed on this stuff, man. We are being indoctrinated. We are being desensitized, preemptively programmed, right? For so many things to be susceptible to violence. I'm talking about we're being programmed to accept prison culture and being under conditions of being in prison to the point to where, we like it. We're being indoctrinated. Like I said, we're being made to consume ourselves, man. For a Boris agenda. And look what's happening. All right. They can't tell us the name at this time. Them having this report that I'm showing, we listen to right now. At this time, they can tell you that it was racially motivated, and they can't tell you what these people's names is. What was the actual, the actual factuals, just the blanket factuals. Let's go.
And must not continue to happen in our community. It's too often the same folks, and this type of hate. This type of, you see the swastikas on the gun. We must do everything that we can. We must do everything that we can to dissuade this type of hate. And so,
Now, pay attention to what that lady just said, man. She just said, we must do everything we can. Now, what do I tell y'all that the legislation says? When you look at HR 1955, it says we want to eradicate. They plan to eradicate ideologically based violence, violent radicalization, and homegrown terrorism. That's what the U.S. government, through HR 1955, says out of their own mouths. They want to eradicate this stuff. They don't want to suppress it. They don't want to lessen it. They don't want to maintain it. They don't want to fight it. They want to eradicate it. And I want y'all to understand why emphasizing on these events like this right here, how they just keep piling up on top of each other. I want y'all to understand where this is going, man. I want you to understand where this is going with these just random acts of just extreme violence. And they keep calling these massive shooting. Pretty soon they're going to start calling them terrorist attacks, man. I want y'all to understand where this is going to, man. I want y'all to be able to connect the dots, where this is leading to. Right? I want y'all to pay attention to how the white male image is being slowly but surely eviscerated. At the same time, celebrated. I want y'all to also know there is high mind effery going on right now. You hear me, man? Yeah, I want y'all to understand that this is extreme mind games going on right now, man. Straight psychological warfare, man. PsyOps. Straight psychological operations. We talking about on levels that most of us aren't willing to even comprehend. You feel me? We're talking about mind effery on levels that most of us won't even believe is possible to be true. We would think it's just, that stuff that just happened in movies. Where do you think it come from? Well, over here at April Talkman, we don't care about none of that, though. We take a walk on the dark side, on the far side. You need. Pay attention to how they're coming for the white male image, specifically the young white male image, really the white male image in general. Does everybody think that somehow, or has been made to think that white people are going to be somehow exempt? Well, they're just as much as victim as anybody else in this grand scheme of things, this whole race thing, right? Anybody ever think that the reason why they try to keep specifically white folks and black folks fighting against each other, because at the end of the day, white folks and black folks all come from the same source. I don't know if any of y'all ever thought about that. While we all screaming black power, Wakanda forever. And white folks are screaming white power. Whatever it is y'all scream. Celtic pride, whatever. I don't know. You hear me? All the time, it's the Khazarian demons that's running the controller operating. Lord forbid if the black folk, the so-called black people and so-called white people figure out that they all is from the same source and they link up and go against us Khazarian demons who are not. But y'all don't think like that, though. That's okay, man. I reserve my right to think like that and how I want to think. Yeah. I'm not naive enough to say that this racial thing don't exist, because it do. But I understand why it does. I understand what it is. All right. So I don't allow it to consume me, nor do I allow it to control me, emotionally especially. You know? Let's go.
I can't even begin to tell you how frustrating this is for all of us, because we've seen it too much. We've seen it too much. And this, as you know, was the anniversary of when we had the shooting at the landing. And I believe that was also indicated in the manifesto that he was aware of that. And perhaps chose this date in alignment with.
Now, peep that, man. I want y'all to look at the ritualistic undertones. I want y'all to understand that this is how LSD operates and maneuvers. I ain't gonna say I hate to get on that because I don't, but I mean, we all don't even have to take these things there. This thing that's going on is beyond what most of us are willing to perceive. Right? You know, smash that like button, man. Click on the subscribe to the page, man. Listen, rest in the essence to them 3 people that lost their lives in Jacksonville, man. And like I always say in these situations, man, it's sad that these people have to lose their lives, man. I want you to know that this system will stop at nothing, man. It's an Ouroboros recycle system. Right? Understand what I said, what I just said. It's a Ouroboros recycle system. Y'all ever seen the movie The Human Centipede? Ugh.
That. So there's a lot here, but as the sheriff said, this was a hate-filled crime. And we just shouldn't have that kind of hate in Jacksonville.
Does anyone know what the Baker Act was about back in 2017?
So that's still under investigation also. And before we go any further, I want to give Sherry Hunks, the SAC, for our local FBI, an opportunity to address you all about a few things. Sherry.
Thank you, Sheriff Waters. First, on behalf of the entire FBI, I want to express my deepest sympathies to the loved ones of those innocent souls that we lost in today's attack. No life should ever be lost to this kind of violence, and our thoughts are with the families tonight after this tragic event. Immediately upon learning about the shooting, FBI agents rushed to the scene to assist our partners at JSO. As we speak, members of our evidence response team and our investigative specialists continue to work alongside JSO to ensure every FBI resource is brought to bear to aid in this investigation. I have committed to Sheriff Waters that our assistance will continue for as long as necessary. In addition, FBI Jacksonville is coordinating with the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Florida. We have opened a federal civil rights investigation, and we will pursue this incident as a hate crime. Hate crimes are always and will always remain a top priority for the FBI because they are not only attack on a victim, they are also meant to threaten and intimidate an entire community. Everyone has a right to feel safe in their communities and in their homes, and I assure you, the FBI will bring every resource we have to bear to bring justice to the families of those innocent lives we lost today. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Sheriff Waters.
That's very, very troubling. Yeah, very telling. All right. You gonna listen to what she said? Man, these people don't care about us or none of us, man. We are cannon fodder. Recycle. You don't understand what's going on out here, man. All right. So now we got these young people right here, all of them dead, as a result of what we're being told is a racially motivated hate crime, mass shooting. Yeah. One of these random people right here, these two brothers and this sister right here. Who are they? Who they peoples? What they do? Right? I don't know if anybody asking them questions. All right. Who they mom and dads and all these people right here? Who's his mom and dad? You know, we deserve answers. Answers. All right. Question everything, y'all, when it comes to this type of stuff, man. Question every blood clot thing. All right. This dude right here got a look on his face like he don't know what's going on. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This guy look like he does nothing but I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it, man. Y'all know what type of guy this guy looks like, man. Playing with guns and stuff, man. Thinking he Christian Bale character from Equilibrium or something, man. He probably got the whole get up in there. He probably got the whole Equilibrium joint, the whole get up. You know? You can always look into somebody's eyes and tell, you know, whether there's something going on there, whether there's not. And he just was born in 01, so he was 22. Young boy. It's crazy, man. And this young brother turns the gun on himself. Where's the interview with his parents at? All right. Let's see. Let's look it up and see real quick. Shall we see? So you want to be able to start squeezing, huh? All right.
Now to Jacksonville, Florida, the latest community left mourning after an unthinkable act of gun violence. 4 people, including a gunman, are now dead after a mass shooting, which police are saying was racially motivated. They have not yet identified the suspect, a white man in his 20s. Police say they found several manifestos left behind by the shooter, describing his hatred.
Notice all the different sources saying the exact same thing, y'all.
It's about a very tragic and somber story to kick things off today, so let's get right to it. Go ahead, Brianna.
Well, Robbie, a white gunman sporting swastikas on his gun shot and killed 3 black victims inside a Jacksonville, Florida Dollar General.
Do you understand they're saying this is crazy, man.
Saturday afternoon. According to the Jacksonville sheriff, a hate crimes investigation has been opened into the murders committed by 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmeter, who shot and killed himself on the scene. Palmeter lived with his parents in neighboring Clay County. Per officials, he left behind a suicide note, a will, and racist manifestos indicating his, quote, hate for black people. Palmeter has no criminal history and purchased the rifle and handgun he used in the shooting legally. Jacksonville.
Oh, come on, y'all, man. How we gonna keep falling for this, man? This same cookie cutter story for every one of these goofy looking so-called white dudes they put in our face telling us just for some odd reason because they've been radicalized by the internet, which is possibly true to an extent, and they just influenced to go buy guns, no legal checks or nothing. They just go get the gun and let's go shoot up black people in stores in the hood, man. Y'all just believe in that, man? When they start doing that? I will never be made to believe that this is the norm and this is happening a lot because it's not. I see what the play is, though, and I ain't going for it. I just ain't going for it, man. I refuse. All right, take higher ground. You know, think differently about the situation. All these little white dudes, man, writing manifestos, man. Disgruntled white dudes upset with losing their so-called white privilege and authority and masculinity and being radicalized by stuff they're seeing in the internet and the red pill and Andrew Tate and all of that. You did.
Police told reporters there were, quote, no red flags. However, in 2017, Palmeter was briefly involuntarily committed under a state law called the Baker Act, which states a person can be taken to a receiving facility for involuntary examination if they are considered a danger to themselves or others. Now, police.
So, they done sit up here and sold this dude AR-15. Knowing good and well, hell, this dude that sit up there and did a bid in the little psych spot real quick. Oh my God, man. The fact that y'all don't see this and just put this together, it just amazes me, man. Right? Oh my God, man. It's so also see-through. It's also transparent. It's very disrespectful to the intelligence. Those of us who choose to use it. I didn't say we ain't notice I said those of us who choose to use it. It's so easy to see through all of this stuff. These cookie cutter so-called mass shootings, active shooters and active shooting events. And until it's only going to be so long before they start calling them acts of terrorism. Flat out calling them acts of terrorism. Watch my work. Watch. And I want y'all to understand like how situations like this are being exacerbated, being made to happen. Understand how they're being made to happen. How they've been made to happen. Understand how our society has been structured to get maximum results that are coming into fruition in the way they have through massive crime. Look what you think when you got a whole bunch of poor people with limited resources. What you think you're going to get when they get down on their hard luck? Especially when it's made so easily to just go into a liquor store and a grocery store, just walk in with a bottle and walk out. Think about all the factors that go into letting this stuff, making this stuff be possible. Then you can see how it's all made to happen. Then maybe you might not use the word conspiracy theory so much. Maybe you stop saying conspiracy theory, maybe start connecting some dots. That sounds dope on the t-shirt too. Right? Smash that like button, click the bell, subscribe to the page, man.
They confiscate firearms during the process of enforcing a Baker Act, but individuals with a Baker Act on their history are still permitted to purchase and own guns in the state of Florida.
In the fallout from Saturday's horror, Governor Ron DeSantis traveled to Jacksonville to offer his support to the affected community, but it seems he wasn't wanted there.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is here.
So basically, the Baker Act was something that allowed people who suffer from some type of mental health situation but got the proper treatment or care, I would imagine. Right? As a result of that, they wouldn't be denied their right to bear arms. I would imagine so long as they can prove that they've been through some type of treatment or rehabilitation or correction or something. Crazy, man. This is crazy, man.
Not a warm reception for the governor there, obviously.
They tore the DeSantis ass up.
Reading more about this, the situation, obviously, with the shooter and the mental health episode and the Baker Act. So the Baker Act does allow, as we've said, if you have guns at the time the Baker Act situation happens, you do have those weapons confiscated and you have some difficulty getting them back. And a judge can bar you from purchasing weapons for a period of time following this kind of episode, but whether that happened in this case is presumably it didn't happen in this case because I'm reading local news stories about gun dealers who do routinely not sell weapons to people because of Baker Act issues. Maybe, and I think the sheriff suggested, I've seen an article that perhaps the mental health incident with the killer, or the alleged killer, was not, maybe it wasn't serious enough to be like officially registered that's what would happen. Obviously, more we need to know about that whole thing. I don't, even though I support Second Amendment rights, I don't personally have a huge issue denying gun rights to people with, previously documented mental health issues that led to them being involuntarily committed or something like that. Yes. Whether that could have actually, enforced more strictly could have helped here, I don't know.
I take that. I take you saying that. I internalize you saying that, but the reality is there are a lot of people who feel differently about that, right? And they're constantly trying to weigh the civil liberties interest of having access to firearms, even if if you're depressed or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't be able to access a gun if the rationale is one's ability to defend yours.
Man, listen here. See the slippery slopes we start getting on with this stuff, man? All right. See the slippery slopes we start getting on with this stuff? A person with mental health issues, may need to defend themselves. So, we can't really automatically or sit out there and, say they can't get guns due to their mental health state. But at the same time, people in mental health states tend to, commit very violent acts of crime. I mean, just do your research. So, but, and this is what I say, y'all, this is how we're being tricked into giving up our Second Amendment right. Right. Are there some people who shouldn't have their Second Amendment right? What y'all think about? Let's go.
Against the government, etc., then that is true of people who suffer from mental illness. And mental illness is such a broad term that covers so many people that it could be a real bar against people accessing firearms. So certainly there are going to be people in the audience who disagree with that. I'm not one of them, but there are good people who disagree with that. I do think there's two issues here that are getting conflated in a way that's very frustrating to the public. There is a question of mental health issues, which, as I've stated, is real and common. And there is a reality that the overwhelming majority of people with mental health issues never kill anyone. Now, there's a third thing, which is that those people with mental health issues who do kill people are potentially choosing and targeting different people for various reasons. And so the third prong of this is whether there's a question as to why this person targeted Black people. He specifically went to an HBCU in the area, a historically Black college in the area, was denied admission, and then pivoted to going to the Dollar General store. And we don't have access to his manifestos or anything like that, but the police chief articulated that this is someone who hated Black people, and that was what was driving his attack, that he specifically was targeting them. And as we explained, he also had swastikas all over his rifle, so there's no real question that this was a attack that was motivated by racial extremism. That being said, those are three different buckets of things to try to resolve. What do you do about racial terrorism? What do you do about mental health issues in the intersection with guns? And then what do you do about kind of mental health issues, broadly speaking? And I think that part of why Ron DeSantis was being booed is that in the wake of some of these gun tragedies, there sometimes does feel like a reluctance to confront the what do you do about the intersection of guns and mental health part of it, and saying just mental health, ignoring there's a huge difference between most of the population who has mental health issues that never does anything this heinous. And also, what do you do about the fact that people specifically are being targeted on the basis of their race? I think the part...
Now pay attention to that last statement she just made. People are being targeted specifically due to their race. Right? Peep the play, y'all, man. Peep the play. Peep the demo, man. Hit that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page, you know, man. Peep the play, man. I keep telling y'all to peep the play. Classic divide and conquer, man. We absolutely cannot keep falling for this stuff, man. You hear me? You know, we just can't afford to keep falling for this stuff. Let's go.
Why he was probably booed there is because the perception of him in the state is that he has made it an increasingly hostile place for Black people, as he has targeted specifically Black studies, Black history, as something that's illegitimate in the state school system, and a move that many Black people feel like is attack on the validity of our history and our existence
what
in the
you
country.
said about mentally ill people, that the vast majority of them don't harm themselves or anyone else. I mean, that's true of people who hold negative views of Black people, of racist people, right? The overwhelming majority don't act out in violent racial terrorism, as I agree, obviously seems to be, all evidence points to that being the case here. Even deeply racist views are, protected in a broad sense under our First Amendment, under our tolerance, even for intolerant ways of thinking. Look, I think you can disagree with DeSantis's education policies. I know a lot of Black people do. He was obviously booed there by people, who don't agree with the changes to the curriculum and all that. I'm having a hard time drawing really any sort of causal. I know some people want to draw a causal arrow there and say, oh, that's, we're doing this and that's why these things are happening. But again, I say this just because we have a lot of these things to talk about, or seemingly a lot of these things to talk about, does not mean that extremism based in racism or ideological views is motivating more violence.
Did y'all pay attention to the word he just used? Did y'all pay attention to the word he just used? How many of y'all caught the word he just used? Come on now, y'all gotta start paying attention, man. This is how they getting this stuff off on us, because when they talking, they think they talking slick and we ain't catching what they saying. We gotta pay attention to when they talking, man. Pay more attention to what they not saying than what they're actually saying. Did y'all hear what he just said? The word he used? I'm gonna play it back and see if y'all can catch it. It's the words y'all hear me say all the time. And this is what I be talking about when I be talking about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Right?
It's under our First Amendment, under our tolerance, even for intolerant ways of thinking. Look, I think you can disagree with DeSantis's education policies. I know a lot of Black people do. He was obviously booed there by people, who don't agree with the changes to the curriculum and all that. I'm having a hard time drawing really any sort of causal. I know some people want to draw a causal arrow there and say, oh, that's, we're doing this and that's why these things are happening. But again, I say this just because we have a lot of these things to talk about, or seemingly a lot of these things to talk about, does not mean that extremism based in racism or ideological.
Ideological. He said the word ideological. And I want y'all to understand that this is how they sneak this stuff into the lexicon, through neuro-linguistic programming. Right? Talking about the stuff they be talking about on this damn TV, man. This is how they sneak this stuff in, y'all. He said ideological. Ideological as in ideologically based violence. And this is how they get these words into the lexicon. This is how they get the ideology out. This is how they put it in an atmosphere to preemptively program us, man, to these concepts, to these words. Do you understand what I'm saying to y'all, man? Neuro-linguistic programming on a massive, massive scale.
Views is motivating more violence than it was before. You know, we could fill our entire day talking about everyone who got, murdered in the country over the last few weeks. The vast majority, 99% of them, for no reason other than crime and desperation and poverty.
I do think it's a very attenuated causal link, given that, to your point, how random these kind of events are. But I do think it would be helpful if we had a political climate where people were saying things like, whatever our political disagreements, Black people are our brothers and sisters in America. Gay people are our brothers and sisters. We're all Americans together. We should support each other and love each other and never cause each other harm. There are political leaders historically who have said and done those kinds of things, even when they don't always agree with people who are, let's say, on the left end of the spectrum. And I feel a real void of politicians who are willing to say, Black people aren't bad, Black people aren't evil, Black people aren't violent, Black people don't deserve to be the subject of your hate, which should all be really innocuous, easy statements for people to make about Black people or any other group in this country, obviously. And when those kinds of statements aren't offered up, that absence, I think, is noted by people, and maybe it's too much to read into that you're tacitly endorsing behavior like the tragedy that we saw over the weekend. But I think just a little bit of affirmative, before it comes to this, before a tragedy happens and then everybody drops out and says, of course you shouldn't murder people. A little bit of preemptive, we have to be able to disagree without devaluing each other's lives is important. And in fact, I do think there is a lot of rhetoric that, even if it cannot be blamed for this kind of behavior directly, does, I think, very clearly devalue the lives and the experiences of other different kinds of people in this country.
Well, GOP presidential wonder kid Vivek Ramaswamy blamed liberal media and institutions for the shooting.
Oh my gosh, man. Always trying to sneak gay folks through on our back. You feel me, man, Uncle Diggity, man? Every trip, man. It never fails, man. Do y'all peep the play though, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna drop the link, man. Y'all brothers and sisters can come on in here and speak your piece on this if y'all aware of this, if y'all know anything about this, if y'all been listening, paying attention to this, man. I've been sitting here telling y'all about this stuff, man. Peep the play, man. Peep the demo, man. Don't get emotionally drawn into this stuff, man. Rest in the essence to them 3 people. Like I said, it's messed up. The illest part about it is people losing their lives as a result of this stuff, man. We are cannon fodder to these people, man. They don't care about us, man. You think you got some type of privilege because you white? You got the illusion of a privilege, man. You see what they about to start doing to y'all. You see how they starting to paint y'all's image, terrorists. Y'all the face of terrorism. What you think that's doing for y'all's so-called image on the global scale? Used to be that they painted so-called Muslims as the face of terrorism. Now, white boys is becoming the face of terrorism. Y'all pay attention to that? Or everybody in their racist bag, in their racial bag? I'm just not fooled, man. I'm not emotionally attached, man. I know what racism is. But more importantly, I know what it's not. You feel me? You did. So I don't allow myself to get emotionally attached. Especially when I know it's more to it. I know it's more to the situation. You did. I know this ain't nothing but part of the indoctrination. Right? I'm not easily swayed. And I'm not, because I choose not to be. Right? I choose not to accept all of this effery. This blatant mind effery is what I call it. Because that's what it is, man. Flat out, that's what it is, man. It's just mind games, man. And you know, I refuse to have my mind played with. Right? When I know better. You know, like I said, I'll keep telling you, we can't let the unintelligent artificial intelligence outthink us, man. Simply because it can. Right? Doesn't have the ability to. Right? So we can't allow it to. We can't allow ourselves to become emotionally involved with this stuff. And this is what I'll be telling y'all about when I'll be talking about situations like this. This is designed to pull at our emotional heartstrings and get us emotionally involved so we don't think rashly about this stuff. But like I always say, and I will repeatedly say, when these things happen, I'm sad to say that it's going to happen again. This stuff is going to keep happening for one reason and one reason only, y'all. It's part of the agenda. Like, you don't think if these people wanted stuff like this to stop it, they can't make it stop? If they didn't want mentally disturbed people to have access to guns, do you not think that they could prevent that from happening? Y'all really believe that? The technological capabilities that, you know, specifically our government has, you really think they don't have the ability to prevent mentally disturbed people from acquiring weapons legally? Are y'all serious, man? That's what I be saying sometimes, man. The cognitive dissonance be getting a little too astounding for me, man. I'll be having to, you know what I'm saying, dial it back a little bit sometimes, and you know what I mean, take a step back, man, take a breath and look at things again, Jack. You know what I mean? Because like I said, man, I think critically. You know, I don't think with my emotions, man. Or should I say, how I feel. When I'm thinking about critical things, I remove all emotions. Right? Even though I might feel a certain way about something, you know, I'm not going to allow that to have influence on what I think about it, right? Or to replace what I think. I'm not going to replace what I think with how I feel, right? And I think that's something that us men especially need to start working on and focusing on, man. For real, for real. Serious business, man. When I say that right there, Jack, you hear me? You know, stuff like this is going to keep happening, man. It's going to keep happening, man. You know, because it's designed to keep happening. You know what I mean? Especially if, you know, they see it keep working. Why would they stop doing it? It keeps working, man. Let's go.
Let's watch. This was very much apparently racially motivated. The sheriff there said point blank.
Notice she said very much apparently. Right? We still don't know specifically if it is racially motivated. We ain't heard them manifestos. They ain't showed us the manifestos, what they say, what they say in the manifestos. And gang, like I keep telling y'all, pay attention to this whole thing with these manifestos. Like, are we for real? Man, y'all know what a manifesto is, man? Like, we're supposed to believe that a 22-year-old white boy, young white dude, has a grammatical and literal wherewithal to write a manifesto to articulately explain what caused him to commit the acts he did, as in to articulately explain why he chose to do what he did, as if somehow he was justified in doing what he did. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Y'all don't peep the game with this manifesto game? You know what I'm saying? That fall, like I say, that falls in with ideologically based violence. Them damn manifestos, right? What is ideologically based violence? Right? I keep telling y'all about this stuff, man. And when stuff like this happen, man, this is letting y'all know. This is letting y'all know that HR 1955 is in full effect, man. You did? If you ain't know, now you know. God damn it. HR 1955 is in full effect, man. You did? Full effect.
That this shooter had manifestos coming, 3 manifestos, and said specifically that he went to this dollar store with the intent of killing Black people.
I think that is heinous and deserves to be called out for what it is. The reality is we've created such a racialized culture in this country in the last several years that right as the last few burning embers of racism were burning out, we have a culture in this country largely created by media and establishment and universities and politicians that throw kerosene on that racism. And I can think of no better way to fuel racism in this country than to take something away from other people on the basis of their skin color.
So this was very inflammatory to folks because what it sounds like Vivek is saying is that the cause of a racist attack like this is the politics of people. You might not agree with them, but people like NDX Kendi or whatever other Black Lives Matter leader, whoever it is, who in their view is arguing for racial inclusion, for racial equality, etc. Vivek says taking things away from white people, which is what he perceives that project to be about.
Okay.
That taking things away from white people is making white people angry, and then they do things like this. So it's ultimately the blame falls on Black people themselves, people who see themselves as advocating for Black interests. And the implication seems to be, well, don't fight for equality or do it in some other way that I approve of, or else you maybe deserve. I mean, he didn't obviously say that, but that's tacit in the idea of placing the blame on them as opposed to the hundreds of years of white supremacy that existed in this country long before we ever heard of DEI.
I don't think that's actually what he was saying, although I also don't agree with what he was saying. I think in blaming the media and the universities and the establishment, I think he's getting at a criticism that I have been as well, that the lumping people into identity-based groups can reinforce racist thinking or racial stereotyping in ways that backfire. I think that's what he was getting at. Obviously, it is wrong to blame. I mean, just as liberals in the media, including probably the types of people interviewing him there on CNN and MSNBC, will be saying that things like what happened in Jacksonville are the fault of conservative media or conservative pundits or Republican institutions, just as I think that is wrong to say that. I mean, people are responsible for their own actions, the violence they create, the bad views they have. You are individually responsible for you, is my philosophy. So just as it's wrong to pin it on, Tim Pool or Fox News or something, but he was doing the same thing there because he was pinning it on the university or the mainstream media. And I would say that is also seeking blame and making excuses for what was ultimately the fault of that person.
Look, there's an argument that we should never think about societal impact of anything because everybody's responsible for themselves. I know that most people don't believe that on both sides of the aisle because we hear
Brianna Joy Gray. That's who this girl is talking. Brianna Joy Gray. This girl who's talking.
Conservatives making arguments about how video games are poisoning kids' heads and TV and Will and Grace is poisoning kids' heads and having a gay pride parade is poisoning kids' heads. There is a belief that things that are happening on the cultural zeitgeist affect people in their behavior. Everybody believes that, but for better or for worse, on both sides of the aisle. What I would say here is that
if we believe it because it's true, Brianna, it literally has an effect on your behavior. And that's one of the things that they're going to say with this guy, Ryan Christopher here. They're going to say that he was radicalized. They're basically saying and have said that he's been radicalized by things he's seen on the internet. Right? She's sitting here the way she said what she just said would make one believe to think she was insinuating that these things don't have an effect on people in a way that will influence them behavior-wise. People, how's she talking, man?
You raised the example of some of these other mass shooters recently. It might be that we look in this guy's manifesto and we find out that Ibram Kendi X is what's really motivating him and making him very, very angry, and that he had never heard of white supremacy and never thought to hate a Black person until he encountered some DEI materials. Mm-hmm. You might be able to tell from the tone of my voice that I'm very skeptical that reading White Fragility would drive him to want to murder a Black person without some other foundational beliefs that he had been indoctrinated with or come across in life about the inherent inferiority of Black people. And regrettably, in the United States of America, there's no shortage of that kind of content. And if the other manifestos that we have had access to are any indication, then we will find that there is a lot of drawing on other kinds of resources that aren't in Ibram X. Kendi to fuel his hatred. For example, the Great Replacement Theory, which has been...
What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all, man? White boys beware. Y'all ain't so safe no more, man. You did? Oh, they coming for y'all. I told you once these Khazarian demons get done with your use, man, once they get done with their use they got for you, you know, it's pretty much a wrap for you, man. You know? It's pretty much a wrap Reynolds for you, man. You know? Might as well just accept it, man. You know?
Advanced by Tucker Carlson very explicitly on his show. Or weird phenotype. The Buffalo shooter had those weird side profiles of Jewish people and Black people explaining how our skulls were the wrong shape and were evidence of us being stupid and violent and bad in all the ways. And that stuff is not coming from Ibram X. Kendi. That's coming from a long legacy of white supremacy. And I think a lot of us would find it to be much more honest if folks like Vivek Ramaswamy were to engage with all of that history that's out there instead of finding materials that have only sprung up in the last 10 years or so as the basis and evidence for a pattern of anti-Black racism, anti-Jewish, anti-Semitism that has existed for a much longer period of time.
I keep telling you about anti-Semitism too, man, which is a misnomer, right?
This morning, a Jacksonville community is grieving the stunning loss of 3 people shot to death in what police say was a racially motivated attack. The FBI is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. Police say the gunman, 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmer, sent racist writings to local law enforcement, the media, even his own parents, expressing his desire to kill Black people. Officials releasing video of the gunman in a tactical vest before he opened fire in the parking lot and then inside a Dollar General store Saturday afternoon.
He let several people out of the store. Why, I don't know. Some of them were white, but I do believe there was a couple that were not.
The victims identified as Angela Carr, Gerald Deshaun Gallion, and 19-year-old store employee Arnold Joseph Laguerre Jr.
All right. Let's go.
It's AJ.
Why does he have to go now? Why so young?
Gerald Gallion's family says he worked hard to take care of his 4-year-old daughter.
My grandbaby keeps saying is, "Where's my daddy?" And all I can do is grab her because I don't have the words right now.
Before the shooting, police say the gunman stopped at nearby Edward Waters University, a historically black institution where a school security officer saw him and called police to report a suspicious person on campus.
Mm-hmm.
What he did is totally unacceptable in the state of Florida. At a prayer vigil, Governor Ron DeSantis vowing to provide more security to Florida HBCUs, but facing boos from the crowd. DeSantis has faced backlash over efforts to change Black history education in public schools with new curriculum standards, including a controversial provision that some slaves developed skills that could be used for their personal benefit.
So that means they develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of slavery.
Meanwhile, authorities say the shooter, who took his own life when officers arrived, lived with his parents in this home outside Jacksonville. Adding a suicide note was found in his bedroom. An AR-style rifle and the handgun, one covered in hand-drawn swastikas, were recovered at the scene.
His sickening ideology is not representative of the values of this Jacksonville community.
Come on, y'all, man. Y'all believe this, man? I just don't believe it. It doesn't even sound believable. All right, so he just goes to Dollar General, walk up and down the General and just start squeezing. Man, I'm sitting here telling y'all, man, we can't keep just allowing this stuff just to ride, man. We can't just keep accepting this stuff at face value, man, and not questioning this stuff when they put this stuff in our face.
Police say the gunman had no criminal arrest record, but when he was 15, he was held for 72 hours under Florida's Baker Act for an involuntary mental health evaluation. Kristen?
What a devastating.
When he was 15, he basically got sectioned, which means involuntarily checked into a mental health facility due to a mental health episode. Notice how they're not going into detail about that mental health episode, what that all included, what was all entailed with that, what was the situation about. Notice they're not getting into detail about that. They just said there's a situation that happened, you know. Then they're not going into detail about it. All right. And I want y'all to pay attention to how they're coming for the guns, man. They're about to say that in order to have a gun, you need to have a mental health screening. All right. Which is going to lead to other things. Now we're getting into Minority Report type stuff, man. You know, we're getting into other type stuff now, man. Y'all better pay attention, man. Keep trying to tell y'all, man, this stuff ain't no joke, man. There's not playing about this stuff, man.
As our nation's gun violence epidemic continues this weekend, in Jacksonville, Florida, 4 people are dead, including the gunman, after shooting inside a Dollar General store. I'm Michelle Fisher.
And I'm Jory Rand. Police have confirmed that gunman is dead after he took his own life. This happened in an area near Edward Waters University, a small historically black university. Students are being kept in their dorms at this time, but no students or faculty are believed to be involved. Authorities held a news conference just a few moments ago saying the incident was racially motivated. The victims, 2 men and a woman, were all black. The shooter has not yet been identified, but officials say he was wearing a tactical vest and was armed with an AR-style rifle and a handgun. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates as they come in.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking.
All right. they do with their weak ass footage. All right.
With Steve Harvey, but you might get a chick and she fine.
Shout out to my brother Sir Ism, man. All right.
We are not a community of hate. We stand united with the good and decent people of this city. We reject this inexcusable violence. And this agency will... Again, the video is rather short because I don't think...
It's a pretty...
Again, the video is rather short.
That's all the video footage they got? Like, come on, man. That's the video footage that y'all got? Seriously? Remember I showed y'all that? The picture of that gun with that alleged looking blood next to it, right? That stuff ain't look like no damn blood, man. It didn't look like no blood, man. You know? That's the essence to these two brothers and this sister, man. It's sad that they lost their life. You know? You know? Messed up people gotta die. You know what I'm saying? You know, innocent people gotta die as a result of this stuff, man. It's really messed up for real. You know? Really messed up for real, man. And then, you know, we ain't gonna know the full details until weeks later. Right? In the meantime, you know, the whole community got to go through this. Their families got to go through this. His family got to go through it. And pay attention to that manifesto situation, man. What is up with these manifestos, man? And I keep telling y'all about HR 1955.
Sheriff TK Waters. Sheriff, thank you so much for being here. I know you spoke with President Biden. What was his message and what did the two of you talk about?
Well, one, he was very supportive of our community. And basically, some of the things he said just then in that clip, how there's no place for...
Why is this dude TJ Waters getting all this attention, man? Who is TK Waters? How much I want to bet if I do some research into who this TK Waters guy is? How much I want to bet that he's a Prince Hall Freemason and a member of the Divine Nine? How much I want to bet? You know, man, this stuff is so ill, man. You feel me? I bet you if I was to do a little research into TK Waters, I'll find out just enough of what I need to know to let me know why he's at where he's at and why he's getting a microphone and a TV screen right now. Right? Jacksonville Sheriff TK Waters. I guarantee you he is a member of the Divine Nine. How much y'all want to bet? Man, this is crazy, man. Smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man. Golly, man. They find they tentacles everywhere. And that's because they're the boule. They're the boule. They're the messengers to the king, man. Advisors to the king, man. You feel me? The bourgeoisie, if you would, man. The yes men, if you would. The dozers. The fake enforcers, if you would, of the Khazarian demons, man. Right? And the Divine Nine is a buffer class, if you would, to act as an intermediate between the upper echelons of the Khazarian demons structure and hierarchy being mitigated, litigated, regulated by a buffer class, the so-called black folks. And to be honest, man, you know, the plot thickens, man. This is very sad that people got to lose their lives in the process, man. You know, I'm not one of these guys that's a violent guy. I don't thrive on violence. You know what I mean? Violence is always the last resort for me. You know what I mean? I only believe in having to dole out violence if you are in defense of your life, your liberty, or your property. You feel me? So, you know, it is what it is. But as far as this situation goes, man,
Hate, and I agree 100%. There's no place for hate in our community and any community in this country.
So what have you learned at this point in your investigation about the gunman, and what is the status of your investigation at this point?
Well, you know, an investigation like this, when you have something so sudden happen, so tragic, you have to start from the end of that event and move backwards. So we're moving backwards, and we've uncovered some more things that we're going to share with our community in an hour or so. I think it's very important for us to know about. And listen, I don't want to talk about him too much. I do know that he was a racist. He did not like people of color. He didn't like black people. He did not. That was very, very clear in his writings. It was a diary of a madman who, I won't give him mental illness, maybe, but I'll say he calculated what he wanted to do and he carried it out in our city.
So to that end, do you have any idea why he chose to stop at Edward Waters University first? And did he have any connection to the school?
Well, there's some more information coming out, so I want to hold on to that thought of Edward Waters University first. We're gonna, and like I said, in about an hour or so to our community to explain his movements that day.
Okay, so let's talk about the shooter prior to all of this. He was temporarily restrained under the Baker Act, but then was still able to purchase a gun legally. I know you were frustrated by the fact that he was able to purchase that gun legally. What does Florida need to do? Should it expand its red flag laws to prevent something like this from happening?
Well, in 2017, he was a 15-year-old juvenile, which adds a whole other layer of protections for people. But I'll say this: he went in under a 72-hour observation. He was not declared mentally ill. Well, from what we have, from the information we were able to gather, the gun dealers were able to do the proper checks. From everything we've seen, he was able to purchase the guns illegally, but he used an object to conduct an evil act in our community, and we just don't know why he did it, other than he didn't like a certain group of people, and that was black people.
I want to play for you what Senator.
So really, it sounded like they really don't know if it was racially motivated. Kind of like T.K. Waters is just saying it is. There's really no evidence to quite corroborate what he's saying.
Tim Scott had to say about the shooting in Jacksonville. Take a listen.
We saw 3 African Americans die because of the color of their skin over the weekend. That's devastating. We obviously released a statement, but more importantly, we released our prayers. We have to combat violence in this country, and specifically racism, when it leads to death, without any question.
And I guess the question I have for you is, given the fact that he was able to purchase this gun legally, and just walk into a convenience store, I mean, how do you prevent this kind of violence? What resources do you need?
The investigative process is long, so you have to be able, this person has to pop up on your radar for us to be able to track and follow, and there has to be...
Pay attention to the language, y'all. Track and follow. How are y'all going to be able to predict stuff like this? How are y'all going to be able to monitor and surveil situations like this? How are you going to prevent somebody from doing something like this? Is this preventable? And if so, how? Mr. O, my Joe from Chicago, what happened, man? And if so, how? How? How are they going to prevent stuff like this from happening? Now think about Minority Report. Think about pre-cog and pre-crime. King Els, what it do in a building, man? That's what I'm saying. This is not a gun control issue, man. You think if they didn't want this dude to get a pistol, they can't prevent people like him from getting pistols? Do y'all really sit up here and think that if this government wanted people who they felt or deemed or may at one point in life was sectioned to a mental health facility, if you think if they didn't want people like that to be having access to guns, you think they couldn't prevent that? I think y'all underestimate the technical capabilities of the American government, man. If they wanted to prevent even alleged psychologically disturbed people from getting weapons, they could. They could just simply make it a law to where anybody trying to purchase a gun, and they can cross-reference your medical records and see if you ever been sectioned to a mental health institute or been in any type of mental health situations, and automatically you're disqualified from getting a gun. You think they can't find this information out? You think they couldn't prevent this? Y'all crazy if y'all think they cannot prevent guys like Ryan Christopher Plambert. What was his damn name? Ryan Christopher Palmeter. You think they can't prevent this dude from getting a gun legally? They can prevent me from getting a gun legally. You think they can prevent this dude? That's what they're saying. Y'all son if y'all be thinking that stuff, man. For real, y'all gotta tighten. I think some of y'all underestimate the technical capabilities of the U.S. government, man. These people know everything about us, man. Don't think that they don't. Don't think they're not watching. Don't think they're not listening. That's what they want us to do. They want us to not think that they're possibly... No, yes, they are. They're watching and listening to everything we say. Everything we do. They're watching. They're listening. So much so that they are biometrically recording it. The unintelligent artificial intelligence wants to know the structure of our face and how it moves, and that correlates into what we're thinking. I just want y'all to be aware of that, man.
Something there outside of a 15-year-old that was submitted under a Baker Act, and we just didn't have that. And he purchased those guns illegally. This was an evil man. This was a wicked man who did something with a gun. That, quite frankly, it's very difficult to stop if you don't know ahead of time that something like this is going to happen.
Now, we've seen other hate-based.
Did y'all pay attention to what he just said? That's a fact, Uncle Diggity.
With a gun, that, quite frankly, it's very difficult to stop if you don't know ahead of time that something like this is going to happen.
He said it's very difficult to stop these type of things from happening if you don't know ahead of time that they're about to start happening. What y'all know about predictive crime? What y'all know that they got technology that could predict crime? Predictive policing technology. What y'all know about it? This is straight out of Minority Report, man.
People have been drawing maps since the early 1800s to try and understand where and when crime happens, in the hopes of better predicting where and when it will happen again. Today's crime maps are made by computers and fed by detailed crime data. Police departments routinely scan their precincts for hotspots, places experiencing a disproportionate amount of criminal activity. With the help of these maps, many departments simply put cops on the dots in order to prevent future crimes. This hotspot analysis has become more sophisticated, leading to predictive policing. Most predictive policing begins with a grid, dividing a city into squares that can be as small as half a block. Beginning with data of previous crimes, computer programs create a forecast for each square, estimating the risk of a crime occurring there during the precinct's next 4-hour shift. But beyond that, predictive policing systems differ in their approaches. PredPol was one of the first predictive policing tools on the market, and its forecasts are based solely on crime data, what kind of crime happened, where, and when. It builds on techniques for forecasting earthquakes, with the aftershocks of a crime.
Did y'all just hear that, man? This PredPol technology, this predictive crime technology, is using the same technology that they use at HARP. The same technology that they can use to manipulate the climate is the same technology that they can use to predict when crime is going to happen. And that's something right there, man. It's crazy.
Reverberating across the city's grid. Then there's risk terrain modeling, which draws on the same basic crime data as well as features of the city, like proximity to a public transportation hub, a collection of bars, the current weather, or even the phases of the moon. HunchLab uses the same advanced factors as risk terrain modeling and adds a learning algorithm, a tree-based technique for assigning risk to grid cells. You can think of this like a game of 20 questions. Have there been complaints about disorderly conduct nearby recently? Is there a concentration of bars or liquor stores nearby? Is there a subway stop nearby? Answering each question sends you down a different branch of the tree, the end of the process being a risk value. Ultimately, HunchLab creates hundreds of these trees and combines them into a forest to create a robust forecasting tool. Will we ever really be able to predict crimes before they happen? Maybe not. But even the idea prompts important questions about how we manage police resources.
Man, I'm ready to pay attention to what's going on, man. Trying to know about predictive police technology, predictive policing procedures, right? This is going to lead to the police, to the robot army. I'm telling y'all, right? How long have I been telling y'all that the robot army is here? A lot of y'all think I'll just be saying that stuff to say something slick. Right, we're gonna get up out of here, y'all, then, because we got to come back at 8 o'clock and we going in. You did? We going in. You understand me? We're going in at 8 o'clock. Peace and justice, strong institutions. This is falling right in line with what we just got done discussing with this situation in Jacksonville. Right? This is UN Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goal. Number 16, peace and justice, strong institutions. Right? This is exactly what this whole situation, I keep telling y'all, man. Y'all better get hip to this stuff, man. This is what we about to get into, man, in another hour and some change, man. I'm about to go grab me something to eat real quick, y'all. Come back, man, get ready for the show. For the night, we get into it. Rest of the essence to them two brothers and that sister that lost their life in Jacksonville. Rest of the essence to this young brother, Ryan Christopher Palmeter. Notice that all of these guys, y'all, these young white males that are doing all of these shootings, notice they all got three names. They always mention their three names. They're using the same tactics from the 60s, y'all. Lee Harvey Oswald, even to the 1800s, James Wilkes Booth, right? All these three name shooters, man, that's shooting all these people, right? Right? Lee Harvey Oswald, James Wilkes Booth, the dude that killed you feel me? Same old tactics, Uncle Diggity. That's what I'm saying. We peep the play. I do. This stuff been happening since I was a kid, man. It's the same old playbook, the same old tactics, man. It ain't fooling me. Ain't fooling me, man. You feel me? Who killed Martin Luther King Jr.? James Earl Ray, allegedly. James Earl Ray, Lee Harvey Oswald, James Wilkes Booth. All right. It was a dude, old homeboy that shot Reagan. Yeah. John Hinckley Jr. Well, he ain't had no three names. It was John Hinckley. But he was connected. Pay attention, y'all, man. Peep the game, y'all, man. That's all I'll be saying to y'all, man. We about to get up out of here. We're going to get ready to go at 8 o'clock. Take a brief intermission, man. Y'all can roll up. I'm about to go grab me something to eat real quick. Be back, and we're going to get straight to it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, and we're going to do it like we used to it. You did? Tap in and walk with us, man.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then, it was nothing to me but blinding. Victory has defeated you.
Gotta know your next move before you speak to a boss. Gotta respect the dead before you speak on the loss. Everybody wanna taste of this E&E sauce. When Stacks got the facts, you don't hear nothing false. Gotta know your next move before you speak to a boss. Gotta respect the dead before you speak on the loss. Everybody wanna taste of this E&E sauce. When Stacks got the facts, you don't hear nothing false.
I used to be Stacks with the packs, now I'm Stacks with the facts. Now I drop knowledge, used to cook straight, drop crack. E&E, coronavirus, the takeover. CW elite, brethren, the wait's over, right? Y'all be addicted to the limelight, mediocre bars, knowing that y'all don't rhyme right. You fake woke niggas need to get your mind right. Stupid ass niggas, y'all bringing guns to a mind fight. Now let me slow it down so I can talk to you. I'm never letting up. If that's your thought, screw you. I hypnotize the track like a nigga practice voodoo. Voice of God, Crimson Mist, Tootsies and Hootus. The rap game is in the abyss I can easily swim through. I'm like the Gordon Fisherman and you rappers is seafood. Grand champion, this bitch, you should call me your seafood. Make sure my energy is up cause the devil's deceitful. And everything that we see and sing ain't nothing but a dream inside of another dream. And everything that we see and sing ain't nothing but a dream inside of another dream.
Gotta know your next move before you speak to a boss. Gotta respect the dead before you speak on the loss. Everybody wanna taste of this E&E sauce. When Stacks got the facts, you don't hear nothing false. Gotta know your next move before you speak to a boss. Gotta respect the dead before you speak on the law. Everybody wanna taste of this any sauce. When Stacks got the facts, you don't hear nothing false. Throw them all on the boat, start shipping them off. E&E, get gratuity for tipping them off. Find them in the West Wing, start clipping them off. Let Stacks hold them up while I finish them off. I'm so nauseous, man, I'm sick by thoughts. It's that Ocean 6, that Bellagio vault. Man, we killing everything like a British assault. And if they sick of these kids, we the illest of dogs. All these hating cats is fraud, filled with jealousy. Another beat murder, they charging me with accessory. About to cook, got the ingredients and the recipe. Pardon me, I'm still smoking on hydrotherapy. Literally, still getting paper with the printer off. Y'all still don't got no bark, that's a winter call. So fuck y'all, get a permanent flick off. Don't speak to me for less than $250, that's a rip off. Gotta know your next move before you speak to a boss. Gotta respect the dead before you speak on the law. Everybody wanna taste of this E&E sauce. When Stacks got the facts, you don't hear nothing false. Gotta know your next move before you speak to a boss. Gotta respect the dead before you speak on the laws. Everybody wanna taste of this E&E sauce. When Stacks got the facts, you don't hear nothing false.
But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I've spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. I assume you dream.